Many people can walk the same path, but very few of them will actually be taking the exact same journey. What is a journey? A journey is not something with a destination necessarily. A journey is about the path being taken. It's about being present. It's about really experiencing what you are surrounded by. Sometimes we don't like what we're surrounded by, and so we've chosen to numb out. But then we've accidentally numbed out from things that are actually really beautiful and things that would have filled our soul. We've stopped the journey and we've chosen instead to sedate our lives instead of living our lives. But you see, the problem is, whether we numb out or not, whether we sedate ourselves or not, the journey continues on. And so what can happen is we've numbed out for so long that by the time we wake up, we almost feel like a coma patient waking up 15 years later. What the heck happened? Where did my life go? I think we've all heard it many times. People on their deathbed who are lamenting to those younger than them, don't waste your life, be present, enjoy every moment because it goes by so fast. But what if it's not actually going by that fast? What if it's just that we've been numbing out? Anything we use to numb out is basically a drug. And a drug is non-discriminatory. So if you take a painkiller, it numbs out some good feeling, some bad feeling. You take an antibiotic, it kills the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. And so when you numb out the pain in your life, recognize that you are also numbing out some of the good, some of the joy, and some of the light in your life. And so two people can be walking the exact same path, but their journeys might look totally different. One might be numbing out, one might not be. Or maybe they're both sober, but the way they're experiencing the journey is just different. Two people never describe the same scenario exactly the same way. That's because everyone's journey is so unique. Let me repeat that in other words. Nobody can live your journey for you. Nobody can experience it for you. Do you really want to miss out on your journey? Would you really have a life of memories of drinking coffee, drinking alcohol, going to parties, spending money, watching Netflix, eating at fancy restaurants, traveling the world, but only for the booze and the food? And missing the people, missing the culture, the joys, the weather, the sights, the sounds, the smells. Do you want the coffee or do you want the rest? Do you want the alcohol or do you want the joy? Do you want to spend money or do you want to be fulfilled? Do you want the sex or do you want the love? Do you want the pictures plastered on social media or do you want the memories? Do you want to win the argument or do you want to be truly seen and heard and understood? The things that we seem to choose in this journey are usually the sedatives. We very rarely opt for the real thing, for the awake thing, for the sober thing. I truly believe there are two steps, two paths to sobriety. And the first one is getting over the using, whether we're using a substance or whether we're using a process. That takes a lot. But the second part is choosing not to use something else and choosing to wake up to life, noticing what's around us, living our life, the good and the bad. Because we can't just choose to stay awake during the good and numb out during the bad. It doesn't work that way. If we're numbing out, we're numbing out. So we've got to pick our path. Choose the path that leads to being awake. Choose the path that leads to noticing every little detail of life, the good and the bad. And believe it or not, there is a beauty and a richness and a depth to being awake and sober for the bad. That is where the lessons happen. That is where the growth happens. In my particular food addiction recovery program, we refer to a relapse as being quote unquote in the ditch, as if we've fallen off the road. And there's a beauty to this because the road is the journey, and sometimes we just sidestep onto the ditch and we just need to step back up on the road. That's it. So if you've been using, just simply get back up on the road, because at whatever point you wake up, you're going to see a treasure. You're going to start witnessing your life. Put one foot in front of the other and continue your journey. And if you've gotten free from your main addiction and you're realizing now that maybe you've been using something else, well, hey, that realization is the first step. Now you just have to take the next step. And the next step is just surrender. Just let it go. So where are you in your journey? Are you awake? Are you asleep? Do you got something that you still really are trying to sleep through? Maybe you need to get some support and some help so that you're able to be awake. There's no judgment. There's no shame. There's no guilt. Only love and grace. Everyone's journey on the path looks different, and what's my oasis might look like a ditch to someone else. And if right now you feel like you're stuck in the ditch, that's okay. Your journey is valid. And if right now I feel like I'm in an oasis, that's also okay. And that's also valid because it's my journey and it's your journey. But the most important part is just to wake up and have the journey. Do not have fear about the unknowns. Don't be afraid of when one journey ends and another one begins. It's all beautiful. It is all good, and it is all part of the divine plan for your life. So when you hit that milestone, you get that chip for a certain number of days of sobriety or years of sobriety. When you lose that weight and hit your goal, what next? What next is the journey. It continues on, and it gets more and more beautiful every day because you get more and more awake. So don't fear the finish line, because there is no finish line. This is just a journey. One of the coaches in Bright Line Eating described it really well when she said, life is like a dimmer switch, and there is no end to its brightness. And in my 2.5 years of sobriety, I have seen this to be very, very true. Every day is brighter than the last. Every day I'm more awake. Whether it's a good day or a bad day or a terrible day, it's better. So journey on, my friend. Journey on. Put one foot in front of the other. If you're in a ditch right now and it looks like a hard climb out, just put one foot in front of the other. You're gonna make it. That climb is part of the journey too. That muscle building is part of what is strengthening you to be awake and bright and joyful for the journey ahead, for the joys ahead, for the sadnesses ahead, for the happy times and the tragedies. Be awake. Choose your life. Choose the journey. It doesn't matter if there's a destination. It's okay if you're just going around in circles, because sometimes those circles are breathtaking and fulfilling, and that is the journey, my friends. And don't fear the time that you've slept, because as another coach likes to say, what needs to be said will be said, and what needs to be heard will be heard. And you know what? What needs to be lived will be lived. Take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out, and just remember, there's room for this too, and this too shall pass. May our journeys meet again.